What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Nick. So how y'all doing today? I am so tired. I don't even know what to do. But now I'm hopped up on sweets. So what's up, family? Hey, Miss Taylor. Hey, Miss Mahogany.
Hello.
I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so Inso family, our girl is in the building today. Like y'all know how we roll in the Inso family. Like y'all know we roll deep. So I am so happy to have you, Miss Mahogany.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
So tell everybody what you been up to, what you doing, a little
Well,
bit about yourself.
yes, my name is Mahogany Wilson. I am a licensed clinical social worker, a registered therapist, as well as a licensed yoga teacher. Right now, my main primary focus is on my private practice. It's called Blackbird Therapy and Wellness. I really tailor my practice to black women specifically. Of course, it's open to women of other races, but I do tailor my practice to black women and providing a safe space for us to be able to process through racial trauma, any type of trauma, and just have a safe space that's specifically geared towards black women. But my practice is open to women, men, and anybody who identifies outside of those gender norms. I also, at some point in the near future, will be providing more group classes and group therapy opportunities. Just have to get there.
Okay. So, what is the name of your private practice so people know how to find you?
Yes, it's called Blackbird Therapy and Wellness. My website is b2wellness.com. On social media, it's Blackbird underscore therapy. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook, nothing else.
Okay.
I can't do Twitter.
I'm still navigating Twitter too. And I'm still calling it Twitter. Even I keep trying to remind myself it is now X.
Oh, I forgot. It is X.
It is X. And so I have to remind myself all the time
that is X.
That is X.
Yeah. I also can't do TikTok, so I'm not on TikTok either, even though I know that's the most popular.
I know,
form.
but it's so difficult to be on TikTok because it's only 2 minutes or something like that. Like you can't post a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm learning to do reels.
Reels, yeah.
So we can. So I will cut this up tonight, right? And post some reels from the knowledge you're gonna share with us tonight. Yes. So tonight we're talking about the importance of community in mental health. Mm-hmm. So can you give us a little background of what is meant by that?
Yes. So when I talk about the importance of community and mental health, it's really just that we heal our trauma really in relationship with other people. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times we think about a healing journey as an isolated journey where we're supposed to be doing all the work by ourselves and taking a break from people. And there is a space for that where sometimes maybe you do need to restore the connection with yourself first. Mm-hmm. However, part of our healing is with other people in relationship, and whether that relationship is more intimate, where it's romantic, or family relationships, also the wider community groups that we're part of, whether that's racial, religious, sports, whatever. There's so many different types of community, but it's really a necessary component of not only us healing trauma, but being whole. Because
that's true.
We are social beings.
We are social beings, and nobody is in this by themselves. Mm-hmm. That was one of the reasons we started the Convo is because we wanted people to understand that you're on this journey called life, but you're not on this journey by yourself.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing was to open up for discussions such as this to keep people aware and keep people fed with different tools and resources and knowledge and tips, and because we are not on this journey by ourselves. Absolutely. So I am really, really glad that you're with us today as we end up this Mental Health Awareness Month talking about this topic, because I think we often forget that we are not on an island by ourselves. It's funny you said how you define being in community and why it was important, because before I came here, so today I have no power, so we're at my cousin's house, and Mom and I were just talking, and we were watching a movie, and she said something, but it was all about community.
Yeah.
And I was cracking up because in my mind I'm going, we're talking about this very subject tonight.
Absolutely.
And mom said something, she was like, well, nobody is in it by themselves. We're never alone. And then I had this fleeting thought that, as I've been going through stuff and unpacking things, there have always been times where because I've even said to my friends, like, y'all don't get it. I am in this by myself. I'm an only child. I'm the caregiver. I'm the, but then when I think about it, I've got Tamara, I've got you, I've got my therapist, I've got, so I'm not on an island by myself.
Right.
But we don't always think about it like that.
Right.
Like we always think, and I tell my mom this, it's just me and you against the world. Because when I grew up, that's what she used to tell us. It's me and you against the world. And so I tell her that now. Like, Mama, I got you. It's me and you against the world, But we often forget that we're not in this journey alone, that we are, there are resources for us. There are people who check in on us. If it wasn't for the village, I don't know how I would take care of my mom by myself.
Yeah.
So just thank you for bringing to my remembrance even tonight that we're not by ourselves. There's all sorts of community defined in any kind of way, like extended family, friends, resources, medical or otherwise.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into our discussion tonight. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Absolutely, me too.
All right. We'll be right back.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. I said, take now. Bring me down, can't nothing bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't nothing
And we're back. Okay, so what my takeaway was from the intro was when we are healing, that is based on relationships, and we're not on an island.
Well, yes, like again, there's a place for the work to take place within yourself.
Okay.
That is a part of, you know, when you experience something traumatic, there is a broken connection.
Okay.
There's a broken connection with yourself, sometimes with your body, and sometimes with other people.
Okay.
And so it is necessary to restore that connection with yourself, with your body, and that is work that you as an individual have to do. However, that's only part of the healing. The other part does take place in our relationships with other people. That's why, like with therapy, you might hear people say that the most important part of therapy is your relationship with your therapist.
Because there's a relationship with it, because you have to be comfortable to talk and be vulnerable and take that. Okay, that makes sense.
And it's through those interactions with other people that we do start to restore those connections and rebuild trust. And even with someone like a therapist that's, you know, technically they start off as a stranger. They're not like your intimate family member. But even being able to trust them enough to open up and to share things and be able to maybe tell them when they've done harm by something that they've said, that's you restoring your connections with other people. Is you healing through some of your trauma. So yeah, that's why, because we do heal in relationship. That's why that therapeutic rapport is so important. You can have a therapist that has all the skill in the world, but if you don't connect with the therapist, there's only so much work that can be done.
Yeah, because I do remember, like, my first introduction to therapy, I was in college, and I just kept looking at the lady like, I don't need to talk to you. Like, you can't really tell me nothing. But it wasn't until, like, we just kept, I think I had like 4 or 5 visits or whatever. So visit 1, I was just like, whatever, you know. But by visit 2, you know, she kept talking to me, and she was just like, this is a safe place. This is but I was in college. Like, I had never been, you know, approached by a therapist, never been to therapy, didn't really know what therapy was. And had been sent to therapy by my boss because Adrian shut down for like 3 days. And in college, like, nobody could wake me up, nobody knew where I was. I was in my room sleep. Like, chilling, just sleep for like 2 or 3 days. And so so when I woke up, they were like, we're sending you to therapy. And I was like, Black people don't go to therapy? Like, what are you talking about? And so, but it's funny, you know, the things that you learn, hindsight is 20/20. Like, if the lady had approached me any kind of other way, I would have been like still shut down. But she was really like, no, this is a safe place. This is why you're here. I was told that, you know, you were sleeping for 2 days. You know, that's not normal. That is indicative of something going on. And the truth was, I had lost some uncles. I had lost my pastor, broke up with a boyfriend. And all of that was like jam-packed in less than 6 months.
That's a lot.
So Adrian was just kind of like, okay, da da da. So yeah, relationship is important.
It is. Your ability to open up and trust, and that it's important to be able to do that in a therapeutic setting. Otherwise, all the rest of the tools and interventions
don't mean nothing.
They won't be effective because they probably won't be touching on the real point because you haven't. Yeah,
because you haven't opened up.
Absolutely. And you even hear, like, when people are talking about not wanting to maybe date, they say, well, I need to be healed before I date. And again, to a degree, that is true. There is a certain amount of healing that you need to maybe do. You need to be in a healthier space sometimes. But you don't have to be completely healed to date.
To move on. No, you don't.
You don't, because again, some of that healing is going to take place. It's in our interactions with other people, whether it's a therapist, a friend, a romantic partner, a family member, that sometimes we even notice what needs more work.
That's true. That is true.
You don't know that when you're in isolation.
No, you don't.
Until something is triggered and you're like, oh, well, I thought I had kind of healed that, but yeah. So
wait, say that one more time. You don't know it in isolation.
Yes, you don't recognize that in isolation is not until you're triggered.
Wow.
In your interaction with somebody else that you really realize sometimes what needs more work.
Ooh, Taylor, I don't know about you, but that just made me really think. You don't, if you're in isolation, you don't know what you need because nobody's telling you, hey, you need to work on, or nothing happened to make you think about what you need to
Nobody's
work on.
saying a certain word that hits you. Nobody's doing something that makes you feel uneasy. Yeah.
Wow. Ooh, expand on it.
Yeah, again, like there's so much work that we can do by ourselves to restore that connection internally with our bodies. But once we start interacting with people and trying to maybe trust again, you realize like, oh, I thought I had kind of got over when my trust was betrayed or when I was, hurt by someone, until you have to try and trust someone again. And you realize like, oh, no, I didn't actually, that's still a wound for me. But in the process of trying to build a safe, healthy connection with someone, that is a part of your healing. It's not like once you realize it's still a wound, you have to retreat back to isolation.
Okay.
You just allow yourself to continue to heal that in a safe, healthy connection. The key word is safe and healthy, but
what does safe and healthy connection look like?
What does a safe and healthy connection look like? It's, for one, some patience.
Okay.
Patience, especially if, again, you are kind of healing some things. The other people that you are in connection with, again, this is not just romantic. It's people being able to be patient with you, respecting your boundaries.
Okay.
Accepting your no as a no and not pushing it.
Okay.
And an actual feeling of safety. I think, we hear things like, oh, I got butterflies. And, maybe that was anxiety. Maybe it wasn't butterflies.
Oh,
You
wow.
want to feel settled around people.
Right.
If you feel like you have to perform or put on, or you can't be yourself, or you feel nervous and anxious when you're around people, it might be an indication that it's not like a safe relationship.
Okay.
So safe and healthy, you actually feel safe and settled. You feel like you can be yourself.
Okay.
You don't feel like you have to pretend. They respect your boundaries. And especially if it's a more intimate relationship, like a close friendship, family, romantic, that they're willing to be patient with you.
Okay.
That they can respect your emotions and let you actually feel them.
Ooh. Actually feel what you're... I tell people all the time, you have to be comfortable feeling what you feel. Like walking through whatever it is, having the feelings that you need to have, addressing the feelings that you're having. Like, to me, that is the most important thing when you're dealing with anything, trauma, breakup, whatever. You have to be allowed to be in that safe space to feel the feelings that you have.
Absolutely. And like relationships where you can't express your feelings, or people react poorly to your feelings, they might not be the safest or healthiest. I mean, granted, there are people in our lives where maybe that's just not their strong point and they support us in other ways. But again, depending on how intimate the relationship is, there may be a very important factor that you can express your emotions, and that they can respond in a helpful way versus...
So do you have some tips and tools for how to always foster a healthy connection?
How to always foster? I think as far as fostering healthy connections, really knowing your boundaries is one.
Okay.
Being aware of what feels good and doesn't feel good to you is important. I think it's hard to foster healthy connections with other people if you are used to pushing past your needs and pushing past your boundaries to please other people or to not rock the boat.
Okay.
You have to have some self-awareness when it comes to fostering healthy relationships. Otherwise, you're just gonna accept and do whatever just for the sake of maintaining the relationship versus having a connection that actually feels good. So I think you do need to have some self-awareness and know what your boundaries are, what your needs are, what your desires are, what feels good, what doesn't. Have awareness of that first and foremost.
Wow. It's so when we kicked off the convo, we did a whole month on relationships, and we talked about being your authentic self, and why a lot of times people don't have really good relationships is because we're stuck in this fake persona. We're never our true selves. And then we talked about emotional intelligence, and how, again, being your authentic self, being self-aware, being true to who you really are, how that impacts you and your responses emotionally. Then we talked about health and wellness. We talked about financial stuff. But to me, it all boils down to, are you really being your authentic self? Physically, mentally, emotionally, in relationships, out of relationships, when you're dealing with your day-to-day life, you still have to at some point be your authentic self. So what I hear you saying that draws it all the way back to the beginning for us is it is really important to know who you are. Because in my mind, hearing you say that, if you don't know who you are and you're not self-aware, there is no way for you to build a healthy connection with somebody else.
I won't say there's no way.
Okay.
Because again, in our interactions with other people, we do learn things about ourselves. So it is a process. I mean, we're constantly growing and evolving. So I think you can learn about yourself in your interactions with others. I'm just saying, like, the self-awareness is a necessary piece. You may not always know who you are exactly, but
I never know
being able to
it changes.
yeah. But being able to have some self-awareness, and again, I talked about that connection with the body, with the self, having some sort of connection with your body, with yourself, so that when something doesn't feel right, you can, know, like, okay, that doesn't sit right with me. So, like, self-awareness, yes, I think that is a necessary component. But as far as, like, fully knowing yourself, we're constantly evolving, and our interactions with other people can illuminate some of that.
But are we accepting of what is being illuminated?
Well, that's where the self-awareness comes into piece. Because if you can check yourself when things happen, or when you're not feeling good in an interaction, or if something doesn't sit, if you can check yourself and have some way to check in and have some self-awareness, it helps, in terms of
How do you check yourself?
How do you check yourself?
Because it's interesting that you put it like that. Like, I always have, like, a come to Jesus moment with myself, especially if I just came from something where it, like you said, just didn't feel quite right. So when I'm reflecting on that, I'm like, okay, why did it make me feel like that? Like, what was said? Like, what? So what? Like, how? Therapy taught me that.
Yes.
But, like, if I had never been to therapy, I don't think I would have gotten that.
To check in
myself.
with yourself. Yeah.
So how would you tell people to learn how to check in with themselves?
Make space to sit with yourself. Because I think, you can leave it up to chance and wait until something happens to say, oh, I'm feeling really disturbed. Let me see what's going on. You can do that, but I think it's better to maybe just purposefully make space to check in with yourself. And that could just mean, like, some quiet time.
Okay.
Or journaling.
Okay.
Taking a walk with no music or with instrumentals or something, but taking some time to yourself so that you can hear your own thoughts, feel your feelings, and take inventory. I personally like journaling. That's always my recommendation. I just know that journaling isn't everyone's thing. So I feel like you can
used to
check
be,
yourself
yeah.
other ways, but how I personally check in is journaling.
Do you journal every day?
No, I don't believe in journaling every day unless you want to.
Gotcha. Okay. But do you check in with yourself every day?
No.
No.
No, I have to be honest. No, absolutely not. And that's also how I usually know that something is going on, because one of my coping skills that isn't healthy is avoidance.
Oh.
And I will avoid, I'll listen to YouTube videos, and I won't listen to music because music I can mentally check
Yes.
out. But I'll listen to YouTube videos and video essays, and I'll watch all kinds of things constantly. Even when I'm just like fixing a cup of coffee, I will not allow for silence. And that's how I know that I'm avoiding and that I need to check in.
Oh wow. And see, I think I'm the opposite. If I get too silent, then I know I need to check in because I'm so, and I think it's because in my household we always had something going on.
Yeah.
So it was never always quiet.
Yeah.
But then I find that when I do check in with myself, I try to check in like in the shower because nobody's gonna bother me. Or I'll go in my room and turn on like some jazz or some soft R&B or something, just so I can, or some gospel, just because I'm a music person, and so that helps me tune out everybody else. And so I get lost in the music, and not necessarily the lyrics, but I really do get lost in the music. And so then I'm able to, okay, why did you feel this way? Why did this happen? So it's so funny. So it can differ for each person. Oh, that is.
It definitely can. Like I said, I avoid listening to music when I'm trying to avoid my feelings, because I do like the music allows me to be more in tune with that, because if they say a lyric that's similar to how I'm feeling, then now I'm thinking about it. But if I'm watching a video essay about film production, there's not a whole lot of feeling in there.
Right.
That's gonna trick. I'm so focused on what they're talking about that I'm not thinking about any of my stuff.
So let's talk about how your yoga practice will help.
Oh yeah.
In this, because I am a firm believer. When we were practicing all the time, and I was going religiously like every week, I was so in a much better headspace. So let's talk about how the yoga helps promote the healing,
yes,
the stability,
because yoga is again a practice that allows you to connect with your body and also your mind, and it requires stillness, and it makes you check in with yourself. Not only because of like the physical piece where you have to be like present in your body to do yoga. You have to be really, which is really good for trauma. One of my certifications is trauma informed yoga.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I didn't say it either, but
no, but I just didn't realize that.
Yeah,
like I know you were a heavy hitter, I just didn't realize that.
Yes. So yoga can be really useful in terms of restoring that broken connection with the body, because a lot of people that experience trauma, a part of kind of coping with that trauma is disconnecting from the physical body. So yoga brings you back into connection with the body. So it can be really good for that in terms of healing. And then also the mind, because you're having to slow down and be present, which is actually why in the trauma-informed training that I took, one of the things that was mentioned is like when you're teaching a trauma-informed yoga class, you actually don't offer much silence. You keep talking throughout the class, because when people have experienced trauma and they're trying to work through it, they may be in different parts of their process. But if they're in an earlier part of the process, sitting in silence while they're focused on their body might be overwhelming.
Okay, that makes sense.
It might be too overwhelming, and then all the thoughts and sensations and all that can come rushing back in.
Okay.
And so we talk throughout the session so that they don't have that kind of quiet until they maybe reach a point where they can actually deal with that.
That makes sense though.
Yes.
Because it's very intentional.
Yes.
Like it's very intentional, and you have to be present.
Yes. Yes. So, yoga is helpful in that sense. And then I think you can do yoga, of course, by yourself, but the group aspect of yoga is also helpful. Like, knowing that you're like in a room full of other people, you're connecting with your body and also in a way connecting with the other people as well. And you're on this journey together through the poses.
Yes.
It is a very, and then usually, of course, depending on where you go, but there's a before and after class that allows you to actually interact with the people that you're taking the class with. I know that varies depending on what studio you go to and how comfortable you feel, which is one of the reasons I really like Enzo, because it's people of color.
Yes.
And you
Whole
don't feel like
game.
a speck of pepper in the salt.
You don't.
And
you feel more comfortable and accepted because my body don't move like other people. I got hips and all of that. So I really did enjoy like interacting with you on that level because I just felt like this is the space where we can just come and be us and learn to be more intentional with ourselves. So I was, y'all, girl, y'all are wonderful. Shout out to our Enso family. Hey, Tam. But I just, again, I want people to understand that healing looks different for everybody.
Yeah.
The approach is different for everybody. And you're not in this by yourself.
Yes, absolutely. You're not, and I think sometimes we don't realize how much support is available to us. And to be fair, some people don't have support in the way that they need it.
Correct.
But we also can create support systems. And to me, like when we talk about community and healing, one aspect of that is having a support system.
Yes.
Which looks different for everybody. And one thing that comes up with clients sometimes is they're like, I don't have a support system. And so then we have to, let's actually look at that. Do you not have a support system, or do you feel like your needs aren't being met? Because that's a different
conversation.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we talk about how sometimes they will X people out of their support system because they don't meet a certain need. But they meet another need. So that's what the purpose of a system is. Everybody doesn't have to meet the same need. People are allowed to support you in different ways.
Oh, I like the way you explain that, because when I look at my village and my support system, I have people who I know I can count on for, if I just need to talk to somebody real quick. And then I have people who will show up if I need them at the house to do a specific something. And then I have people who are available to do other things. Like, I never really thought about it as your support system has different needs that they meet. And you just made me rethink my whole system, because I just don't think in that concept. A lot of times, if I need something, I'm like, there's nobody here to address the need. And so then I get all in my feelings because I probably don't have the resource that I need for that specific thing.
Yeah.
And so then I retreat back into, I'm in this by myself.
I don't have nobody.
Ain't nobody here. I ain't got nobody. And then self-check. Girl, you're not by yourself. Who do you usually call when this happens? And who normally shows up? But then that goes back to, like you said, the community, the relationships, I have to constantly remind myself.
Yeah. We all do. We have to take inventory sometimes of what we actually have available to us. And especially, like, it comes up a lot with emotional needs, because I do feel like probably for most of us that is a limited piece of our support system. Not everybody in our support system is able to meet our emotional needs.
That's true.
And that's okay. As long as we have like a couple of people, we don't need everybody to.
We just need a few.
We just need a few. We don't need everybody to do that. Like, my parents are a part of my support system. Do I necessarily go to them with my emotions?
No.
Not really. Mine is my stepmom, actually. Sometimes I really can go to her, but and not that my parents aren't great, but they take it too personal and they want to fix it, and that's not what I need.
Right.
But if I have a problem to be solved, they're great for that. They're great for that. So that's what I mean. Like, when you have a support, you have people that you know you can go to for certain things, even if they don't meet all of your needs. There's this worksheet sometimes that I'll go through with clients. It's like the trust star.
Oh.
It's about trust.
Okay.
But it's basically where you pick one person, say like a specific friend, and you identify all the ways in which you may need to trust someone. You list it out on the side, whether it be like financially, or trust them with your secrets, trust them to pick up your kid or something like that. You list all those out. And then on the trust star, you identify how much you trust this particular person with each one of those things, because there's like lines that go all around it, and it just helps you to see that you may be able to trust this friend with picking up your kids, paying your bills, keeping your secrets.
So it shows you who you really do have
yes, but you may not be able to trust them with other things,
right?
Let me take that back. Okay, so maybe you can trust this friend with picking up your kids, keeping your secrets, but not to pay you back.
Right.
Like if they borrow the money, it's going to take a year for you to get $40 back, because they're not going to pay you.
Right.
So it's being able to see, like, just because I can't trust them with maybe one thing doesn't mean they're completely untrustworthy.
Right. Okay.
And sometimes we kind of X people out because it's like, oh, if I can't trust you with this, I can't trust you with anything.
Right.
And it's like,
and
well,
it's
not
all or
necessarily.
nothing.
Yeah, some things, yes. But
right. Oh, wow. See, I just didn't think about it like that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. And when we come back, don't forget, you guys can call in and comment. Like, nobody, like, I see all these people in the chat, but nobody is talking. So 214-556-6239, or you can comment on the platform, and we will be right back.
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy. In every life we have some trouble, but when you worry you make it double. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy now. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Ain't got no place to lay your head. Somebody came and took your bed. Don't worry. Be happy. The landlord say your rent is late. He may have to litigate. Don't worry. Be happy. Look at me, I'm happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Hey, I give you my phone number. When you worry, call me. I make you happy. got no cash, ain't got no style, ain't got no gal to make you smile. But don't worry, be happy. Cause when you worry, your face will frown, and that will bring everybody down. So don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy now. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, don't do it. Be happy. Put a smile on your face. Don't bring everybody down like this. Don't worry. It will soon pass, whatever it is. Don't worry, be happy. I'm not worried.
And we're back as I'm chewing on my chocolate croissant because it is so good. I'm not going to say where I got it, but it's so good. Okay, so you have just made me really rethink a bunch of stuff. Like, I really do need, I owe some apologies, and I have cut off some people probably shouldn't have. So thank you for this conversation. If there are any questions, you guys need to call in 214-556-6239 or hit us in the comments. So Miss Mahogany, I don't know what else I want to ask you. Because I've learned a lot tonight. Mm-hmm. Like I just need to be a little bit more mindful of who I actually have in the village. Mm-hmm. And I also need to be more mindful of not putting myself in isolation. Because I will do that real quick.
Yes, I think a lot of us do. I mean, I do it myself. I have to check myself on that too. Mm-hmm. I do. I think like the pandemic really put a lot of things in perspective, maybe for me personally, but I think collectively, mm-hmm.
How
much we do need connection with other people, because not having it was a problem for a lot. Now, to be fair, I am an introvert, a very strong introvert. So I was I was fine. I was, in a sense, like I was fine in terms of, I was fine with not having the pressure to go somewhere most of the time.
Right.
However, at the beginning of the pandemic started in March. The shutdown started in March of 2020. I got separated in April of 2020.
Oh, wow.
And ended up going through a divorce throughout the whole pandemic.
No, I get that.
So that was a time where I actually did need more community sort of support. And it was very limited because we could not go anywhere.
Right.
So I was really stuck with my feelings during the beginning of the pandemic, where everything was really shut down. I could FaceTime friends and stuff and everything, but it's not the same as like sitting around having a wait and exhale moment together.
Girl, do you know?
Yeah. So it was, I think that was a time that really showed how much we do need community and how hard we work to foster it, even online, in as many ways, and how people were, even though they could possibly get sick, they were still trying to interact with other people.
Yep.
It just shows how important connection is. Even though we want to tend to isolate, connection is very important, and we just have to figure out what that looks like in our lives. And how to do more of it, which is also a question that comes up a lot for people.
Yeah, because I will admit, like, I I'm not an introvert, but I'm not like extrovert either. I'm somewhere in between. But with the pandemic, I felt so disconnected, like so alone, so disconnected, and it was a struggle for me.
Yeah.
So when Tamara opened INSA, I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I can, and it's a safe place, and she practices boundaries, and she, so I was really like, this is exactly what I needed, because I was struggling, like, and I didn't realize during the pandemic until it was all taken away how connected I was to some people.
Yeah.
And the fact that I couldn't see those people, touch those people, like, phone is one thing, but just being in person with someone, that was quite another thing.
Yeah.
And so, but then when we talk about this today, that explains why community is so important, because when you are used to having people, and I don't want to say at your beck and call, but available, like, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I'm glad I'm not on the island by myself, even though sometimes I act like I am.
Yeah.
And it feels like
it can feel like it sometimes. There are some experiences that are really isolating. And that's true. But being able to utilize the supports that you have, that are available to you, and take the time you need for yourself, because that is necessary sometimes.
So I will tell you that I probably within the last 2 years, I have really gotten into this self-care mode. Like, it is okay for me to be taking care of myself.
Yes. And I think that is another aspect of self-care that people don't consider self-care, but socializing is a part of self-care. It's one of those important components. Spending time with yourself and doing things for yourself, yes, that's important. But being social is a part of your self-care. Whether that's hanging out with friends or family, or going to a sports activity you like, or some shared interest group, church, whatever it is for you personally, those things are an active part of self-care.
No, and I'm just glad we can go out again.
I know.
Because, again, I was struggling. Like, when you're used to just picking up and going places, and you can't do that because there's a virus out here that is wreaking havoc, that is weird. Like, when you can't just pick up and go and see your family, that is weird.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. And I think that is a shared traumatic experience that we all have, not just in America, but in the world. That is a shared traumatic experience that doesn't happen often, where all of us are sharing like a collective trauma. It's something that we're all experiencing, but then we all experience it in different ways too.
That's true.
So there's an individual component, but also like a collective component to the trauma that we experience with the pandemic.
Okay, well, we're going to be mindful of everybody's time. Any parting thoughts?
I would just encourage everyone to try and foster community where available, whether that's through causes that you care about, volunteer work, religion, yoga, workout classes, whatever it is, friend groups even.
Okay.
I have a group of coworkers from a previous job. We still hang out.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So just find people, you have your family, your friends, but also maybe try and connect with the wider community that you're a part of, whether it's your neighborhood or your city, regional organizations. Just try and connect as much as possible, so that you don't completely isolate yourself, and you can work to restore connection.
Okay, well, will you drop your connect info one more time for everybody where they can find you?
My Instagram and Facebook is blackbird_therapy. My website is b2wellness.com. Again, my business name is Blackbird Therapy and Wellness. Not on TikTok or anywhere else, but you can find me on Instagram. I try to respond to DMs, and my website has a link to email me if you need to.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us this evening. Family, we hope that you got something out of today's session and the rest of the sessions. Like, share. We will be back next week unpacking personal trauma with Patrick Powell. And we'll see you guys same healing time and same healing place. And we'll see you on the Convo. Peace.